we have a debut here on the morning show. And there's only really one way, I believe, that we can welcome this individual here to the morning show. And it is through his own words.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
That's literally the only way that we can do it. So we bring in Jalil Anibaba to the morning show.
Hey, what's going on? How are we doing? What an intro. Anytime you got reactions from me, I would like to think they're lit. So we're up this morning. We're up.
It's all good. First off, welcome to the morning show. This is part of the chaos that we have every single Monday through Friday. We are Turner Time kids.
Yep.
So we start at 9:05 and we go for however long. Trust me, we do go into added time because of my golden retriever brain.
Love it.
And this is what we do on Fridays. We always catch up with our friends from Apple and MLS Soccer to find out what's going on. But I wanted to dial it back to start to Monday.
Okay.
As we build our way forward to this weekend. You and AJ Ricketts got to call the MLS Next Extravaganza, which was all Eastern Conference all the time. And now that you've had a couple of days to think about it, what were some of your takeaways from Blowout City, where the Eastern Conference took care of the Western Conference? I believe it was 6-1 the final there.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a blessed Friday morning, and this is a great way to start it. As far as Monday was concerned, moonwalking back to the top of the week, the MLS Next All-Star Game was awesome. What a platform for the young individuals. And like you said, the East showed out. Oscar Aviles was completely amazing. He was the MVP, ended up. Liam Stribling did his thing. Benji Flowers on the West side was obviously a player that a lot of people were keen to see what he would do on the All-Star platform, just recently signing with Dallas with the pre-deal to Chelsea. And then Jamil Denjaji, the captain for the East, did his thing too. So it was fun for a lot of reasons, and the young players balled out.
All right. So since you mentioned Benji, let me bookmark him for a second. So
Sure.
When he signed and we heard about the pre-deal, I was like, don't go to Chelsea. Don't do it. Because, look, you're going to get that photo of Benji at some point where he's going to go over, and it's going to be at Stamford Bridge or someplace that's supposed to look like it. And it's either going to be him holding up the jersey, or he's going to be wearing the gear, and he's going to have the pen hovering over the contract and smiling because he's not going to be signing while he's taking the picture.
Sure.
He is going to Strasbourg faster than you and I can sit there and say Strasbourg. He ain't staying at Chelsea. He's going out the door to someplace else, and he's going to get lost in the sauce. That's my fear with Benji Flowers. I'm like, don't sign with Chelsea. If anybody has this opportunity, don't do it. But I understand why SCD is like, hey, man, up to $10 million, we'll take it. $3 million, no worries there. I understand the why, but it seems counterproductive to his growth.
Well, let's flip the perspective, though, John. If you were a kid his age and sat down with that opportunity in front of you, very, very difficult to say that you wouldn't take it, and you wouldn't bet on yourself to say, okay, of the young Americans that have recently gone to Chelsea and similar deals, because we haven't seen anything like this as far as FC Dallas is concerned, MLS is concerned, but on similar deals. Yeah. Are you not going to take it? You're absolutely going to take it. You're going to bet on yourself and say, look, if all things continue to go in the same trajectory for me and my family, I'm going to be a player for Chelsea. So I don't fault him in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I feel it continues to elevate the growth of the league and continues to show that FC Dallas is one of, if not the best organizations in the MLS circuit as far as producing young talent, getting them into Europe very quickly, and letting them either try or come back to Dallas by fire.
And the example that sticks here in our footprint here in the Southeast is Caleb Wiley.
Of course.
Caleb signs with Chelsea, heads out to Strasbourg. He battles injuries and such, and then he goes back from Strasbourg back into the chain, trains with the first team, loaned out to Watford. And by the way, he gets loaned out to Watford. So that's why I think that there's, in addition to just, Chelsea wanders into Sharper Image, and they sit there and it's like, ooh, we want all these toys. We want the vibrating chair and the lava lamp and the radio operated helicopter and all of that stuff. And that's the way they operate. And it seems to me at times you get all the toys and then you don't use all the toys, and they just kind of sit in a corner sometimes. That's kind of like my thing with Chelsea right now.
Yeah, philosophically, I don't disagree with you, right? And I think a lot of people have taken the same view, either permanently or sometimes one day they wake up and they're maybe optimistic, or they wake up and they're like, you know what, John is 100% right.
Wait,
But
what? What?
hey, it's Friday morning. You get wins too, my bro. But it's one of those things where, being a young player once myself, the opportunities for you that come your way that feel like validate your dreams, you're not going to say no to it, because this is a profession where we've seen crazier things happen and we've seen stars become household names in more fortuitous ways than this. So it's again an amazing thing. And all shout out to Benji Flowers, because how many teenagers are we talking about in this light and in this opportunity?
Yeah, well, I'd love for it to be more, and that's just me being selfish. But I mean, it's trust me, at baseline, I love the fact that FCD and Chelsea had enough interest in Benji Flowers to sit there and go, yes, we're interested. And then Chelsea comes knocking on your door. You're not going to sit there and say no. Like I said,
Right.
I just worry about stunted growth and development. That's my biggest thing when it comes to this kind of stuff. So that's why I wanted to bring him up, because you got to see him and you know what the knowledge base is around it and all that kind of stuff. Okay. That was the MLS Next part of the program.
Yes, sir.
For those that may not know, I mean, you are you're still ambassadoring in Nashville, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you're hanging out there. So where are you right now? Where are you physically at this moment?
I am physically home in Nashville for the next couple hours before I hop on the plane and join everybody in St. Louis.
Okay, so you get to go to the Pink Park and go and find out how things are with all caps, because I always feel like we have to say St. Louis City SC because it's in all capital letters.
I like that.
And that emphasis is always going to be there. And so
Yeah.
you've got St. Louis, who went into the Turkish league, and they brought in a new DP in Hulsa, and they're trying to find someone that can add to that offense, which is, for various reasons, been kind of stuttering this year. When you look at what you've seen from all caps, as we call them here on the show, what have you seen from St. Louis and Study Hall this week?
Listen, I've seen consistency in results. I've seen the ability to get the best out of what was formerly their roster before the summer.
Right.
And I've seen their stadium, which is one of the best in MLS, hands down, bar none, be very happy with their exploits. I think when you look at leadership, right, closer to the top and then down, Corey Ray has done an excellent job to just kind of solidify things and get consistent results. So this is a market that I've always been, hoping to do better. And now that we're seeing, again, consistent results, I think the MLS fan who has a wider perspective should be happy with what's going on in St. Louis. And I know the local fans are definitely happy, in speaking to them as well.
Yeah, and it's the focal point for those that may not necessarily know them as backwards and forwards right now is Marcel Hartel Holiday Inn.
Yeah, facts.
When you look at what he's been able to do, leading goal scorer with 5 at the moment, and so
Yeah.
they've had a lot of different folks score, but they haven't had the one guy who's been like close to double digits. Hartel has been the one that's been close. You've got Chris Durkin, Sangbin, Bashir, Edward Lewin, who is obviously battling injuries and other things too. It's just you want that offense to kickstart itself somehow. Do you think that Hulsa is going to be that guy? Obviously, the front office does, but I'm wondering about integration and how long it's going to take him to get integrated into what they want him to do.
That's always the question with transfers coming into the summer, right? If you flip it and go across the pond, it's transfers coming in the winter. It's not always the easiest thing. We've seen countless players that have come in with, amazing resumes and or even off of like extremely hot form from wherever they were coming from. And then they come into MLS and sometimes they don't start balling out in the way that their resume reflects until the next season. Obviously, if you're in the St. Louis camp, you want that to happen sooner rather than later. I do think that he has the ability to be, another cog in the wheel that will make St. Louis that much more indefensible. Don't forget about the new signing in Alexandru Matan as well. That's my homie. We played together in Columbus. He has the ability to undress a defense individually, but also he can be that second, third, fourth link up player where if you're focused on Hartle and company, you're gonna lose at least one or two players either on the back post or top box. So I'd like to think they are more poised going into the second half of the season for signings. And it'll be interesting because if the building keeps rocking in the way that it's been rocking, it's going to continue to be a market that MLS fans, St. Louis fans, and the league will be happy about, to be fair.
And it's got some of the best food that you can ever find in a bunch of different pockets. Our friend Casey White, we've given her the scouting report about places to go and all the different pockets in St. Louis. So she's got her foodie map all lined up. I'm still trying to figure out why they don't have I'm from the Lou and I'm proud as their, like when they get the goal scoring going.
Yep.
You get Nelly going, I'm from the Lou and I'm proud. That's one of the things that was to me as a no-brainer, and I've yet to hear it. And I'm like, what are you people doing? You're sleeping at the wheel here, man.
Yeah, facts. I mean, there are a lot of Nelly tracks. There are a lot of St. Lunatics tracks. You could lace behind a goal. You could find me at St. Louis. You could do a lot with that. But listen, when it comes to how a club has been marketed, I think St. Louis has done an excellent job. Again, we talk about facilities often, and that has been a main recent attraction. When I say recent, the last 10-ish years in our league, right? It's one of the main ways that organizations, owners, CSOs, coaches have been able to track top-tier talent through the World Cup, through European exploits, foreign exploits. Is because of our facilities, and St. Louis is at the forefront of that. There's no way around it.
And then RSL comes to town, and they are a bunch of bad men. They I mean, look, and the thing is that they are young.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
they are young, and they're pains in the butt. I mean, Hezer Connie and Gozo, everybody looks at Diego Luna, yes.
Sure.
But that right-hand side of the attack, we got to see it early in the season here in Atlanta. You're looking at Hezer Connie, and you're looking at Gozo and Solon's up top, and they just come at you in waves and waves, and they are serious trouble when they get into that rhythm that we've seen offensively.
Absolutely. And on the right-hand side, don't forget about the homie too, DeAndre Yedlin. When you need or when you have youthful exuberance on one side, it's helpful to have experience balanced with still that sprinkle of athleticism. So it's very difficult to, count out what they can do on just one side of the pitch. But you're absolutely right. I love the way that Gozo plays. I just love it. I look at, of course, the production, 6-4 from him, and just the front half of the season, he's, blown up the league, if you will. But I also like the way certain players move, the way their touch is, their balance, and when they look like they're just dynamic on just the first two touch and they circulate the ball. That's what I see from Gozo. I feel like there's obviously room still left for him to grow more and more clinical, more and more consistent in a given game. Sometimes he'll have a brace or whatever have you, or a goal. You feel like he could have 3 or 4. But at the end of the day, this is another young, bright star here that we have on our hands in MLS. And how long will he be here?
Okay, so then going into this particular matchup, give me not a shiny object. I don't want so who's paired with you in the booth?
I'm with Jonathan Yardley.
Okay, so you and Yardley are in the booth.
Yeah.
I bump out Yardley for a second. I tell him to go get coffee or something.
Okay.
You and I do the open.
Okay.
So it comes up, Apple Open comes up, title over wide. They show what's going on. You're in the pink park, and we talk about, team A, team B, and then we always do like the players to watch.
Sure.
I don't want the shiny objects.
Okay.
I need somebody who's a foot soldier. I need somebody who's outside of the spotlight. Give me someone who would not be a player to watch that you and Yardley will have in your open.
Okay.
But a player to watch regardless that would not be in your open. Who would be your 2 players to watch, one on each side, that will not be the players to watch that you and Yardley are going to have in your open?
All right. St. Louis, Durkin. And then on the flip, we already talked about it, is going to be a Yedlin for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is, so Durkin, for example, you have to have players that are able to do the dirty work and cover the ground, protect the back line when needed, but can also arrive in and around the box late. And if, again, all of your focus is on Hartle and company, Durkin can still punish you as well, right? And then when we talk about what RSL does on the right-hand side, again, solid or being solid rather is important. Knowing and understanding the ebbs and flows of MLS, knowing the ebbs and flows of getting a team back into gear off the back of the World Cup, whether you feature or not. DeAndre has done that for over a decade in multiple leagues, and obviously starting here. And he's very comfortable with the leadership and Kirk Schmidt and whatnot, who has known him since he was Gozo's age and younger, right? So I look at those two, who in many ways are MLS leaders, MLS greats, obviously, to be the players that their team relies on. And those kind of like moments where either the game lulls off or the novice fan like goes to get something to drink or popcorn or whatever. But those are actually the moments where you can win and lose matches for real.
J&J Football Factory, Jonathan Yardley and Jalil Anibaba. They're going to be
and John Nelson in it.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, it's true. But y'all two are going to be at the Pink Park in St. Louis. I am not. I'm going to be back here watching Atlanta and Philly, but 8:40 kick Eastern time. All caps SC, otherwise known as St. Louis City, taking on RSL. Since you're there in Nashville, one Nashville question before we get out of here. When you look at Nashville, the attack is borderline ridiculous, but we know that going in.
Yep.
If you were on defense,
okay,
going up against Nashville,
yep,
how would you defend what we see on a match-by-match basis out there from B.J. Callahan? He gets his starting 11 of 11s out there the way that he wants.
Yeah.
How would you defend that attack going forward?
Oh, that's a difficult question, because for once in Nashville SC's history, which obviously I know about, playing for the club and living here essentially since I wasn't a member in the locker room, is that they have a three-headed monster with help underneath that, right? So a lot of times, or in a large part of the club's history, it was, if you can keep Hani Mukhtar off the score sheet, you're going to win, right? Not just tie. You're going to win the game, most likely. Then Sam Surridge pulls up. Once he got really flowing, it was a two-headed monster. You focus on Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge is going to kill you on the back post. Now you have Christian Espinosa on the right-hand side. When he's healthy, whipping in crosses. We've known what that looks like in Nashville and in San Jose. But the X factor, if not the most important player on the offensive side of the ball as far as facilitation is concerned for Nashville, is Andy Nahar. So if you're really asking me what are you going to do to defend them, pick two players of those four and try to stop them. And of course, you would want to go for Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar first. I would man mark Hani Mukhtar, and then Sam Surridge. All I would do is tell anybody on the weak side to make sure that your alarm clock is not set. It's constantly on.
No snooze button allowed going up against Sam Surridge. No, I will file this away, and we will have this as evidence in the case file going up against Nashville for the remainder of the season. Since we are an animal supportive zone here, by the way, I have our resident guard dog underneath the table, and he is making sure that no one, the rowdy man is making sure that no one comes into the office unless they have the proper tariff. Who is it that you have there that has been making sure that no one bothers you during this studio segment?
I have my dog, but he's in the other side of the house. So
that's it. And he was making sure that everybody knew that he was there.
Yeah, 100%. My wife is holding things down so that we can, not be bum rushed by Moxie, but it's all good.
Look, that's the thing. If Moxie comes bum rushes, that's perfectly fine. We are an animal plus zone. We embrace those kinds of things. So once again, you and Yardley in St. Louis, may your plane get there in one piece. May you find all of the food on the hill that you wish to eat. It's a great venue, although it's too small. It's a great venue, the Pink Park. Have a great call this weekend. And now that you know how to come in. You can come in. Literally, you know where the key is under the mat. You know where the garage door opener is. You want to sit there and go, yo, Nelson, I got to come in, vent my spleen about something. You know how to do it, my friend. Just let me know. And say hi to our boy Lucas next time that you see him, eh?
Will do.
All right. Jalil Anibaba, thanks for dropping by, and have a great call this weekend. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks a lot, brother.